Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the brand new superformula SF23 Honda model. However, that is not all. We're also going to be putting it up against the older version, the superformula SF19 Honda model, to basically compare the two and just see how they, realistically compare over a single lap over the Nordschleife layout of the Nürburgring. Tomorrow I'll also be taking a look at the Toyota models to compare those two. I did review the original SF19 Toyota, however that is very outdated at this point. This is the new one, however. This is the SF23 Superformula. This is the Honda model. As you can see, it's a far more striking looking car, where in my opinion the SF19 looks very reminiscent to something like maybe a old F2 or possibly a Formula 3 machine. This new SF23 has a definite defined look with all its curved aero and overall just a better aesthetic appeal. So straight away, that is an improvement for the SF23 over the SF19. It looks like it means business. So let's go have a look at the car prices. As you can see, the SF19, the Honda version we are taking a look at today, comes in at 1 million credits from the Superformula dealership from Asia within Brand Central. So if we check in with the SF19, as you can see, it's 639 brake horsepower, 660 kilograms and 953 pp. However, the SF23 comes in lower than that. That is 950 pp, 625 brake horsepower and 670 kilograms. So it also does have more weight. However, I think there's going to be some surprising results when we test these two on the track together. So let's go ahead and test out the SF19. On paper, this is the better performing car. However, will it still be that way when we take it around the Nordschleife? Both of these cars will be running on soft tyres, straight default settings, so nothing changed in terms of suspension or anything like that. They are basically the way they come out of Brand Central, and as you can see, the SF19 is as fast as it's ever been. However, if we do note from update 1.31, there was a big physics change which I think overall just makes the cars a little bit slower in terms of a overall lap or kind of one lap pace. Definitely more noticeable in the Superformula or the SF19 because I've been using this car a lot over the last year in terms of GT7. The Toyota one we tested did a very fast lap time, and I believe it's been at the top of our hot lap leaderboard since I believe like July time at this point, so it's been up there for a very long time. So obviously because of the physics changes, I will actually be re-reviewing that alongside the Toyota SF23 tomorrow to basically see how those compare and obviously get a good look at where the Toyota now stands in terms of the up-to-date physics model. So let's talk about the SF19 in terms of the Honda version. This overall is a fantastic car if you're wanting, grip, handling, acceleration and a fairly decent top speed, then well, look no further. This is a formula car after all, open wheel, absolutely fantastic to drive. In all honesty, I think most of us have driven this car at least once in our lifetime within GT7 and included in GT Sport as well. If any of you guys played that one, I know I did. That was kind of my first introduction to the SF19. Obviously, it came over to GT7 as well, and it's pretty much the same through both games. Massive amounts of downforce, really handles like it's on rails, and it's almost kind of like playing Wipeout with the way you will throw it through the corners. Overall, this is a fantastic handling car. From update 1.31 though, something that has changed is it's much more easier to lose the rear end on this car, but not in the way that you expect. If it does break traction, it's rather quite easy to just bring it back around. As long as you're not too aggressive, this thing will very rarely spin itself around. It's very controllable, but there's definitely more weight and more feeling going through the car after the latest physics update. So overall, the Honda, in all honesty, it's not too different from the Toyota version. If you've driven one, you've driven the other. However, I do feel that is a little bit different with the SF23s. There was a lot more noticeable differences in those models. However, at the minute we are focusing purely on the SF19, and in all honesty, I don't see too many changes between the Honda and the Toyota model, which I will be bringing you tomorrow. So in all honesty, you really can't go wrong with the SF19. Obviously, this is the older model, and in my opinion, it is the I guess ugly model at this point. In all honesty, it just looks a bit, I guess, basic in that way. Obviously, it's not a basic machine at all, but it's definitely definitely reminds me of a more older F2 car, or kind of an up-to-date Formula 3 car. There's nothing to really kind of, I guess differentiate itself. It's very kind of, in your face, looks like an F3 car, looks like a classic F2 car. There's nothing kind of too different, although it is a very striking car, to be quite honest. But in all honesty, I just think the curved wings on the SF23 make that a much better looking model, and definitely differentiates itself from some of the other Formula cars that are out there currently. So yeah, in all honesty, it's just kind of a minus point to the SF19, but obviously this is an outdated machine at this point. I guess most of us will be going on to use the SF23s. So with the SF19 done, let's see how it did on its hot lap. So something interesting to compare with this, as you can see, the top car is a Dallara SF19 Superformula, the Toyota model, which I reviewed on the 13th of July 2022. And as you can see, if we go ahead and take a look at the Dallara SF19 Superformula, the Honda version, recently with the most recent update of 1.32, there's a big difference with the physics changes and kind of how the aero works on these cars. So yeah, that the Toyota is definitely needing a, kind of more up-to-date review. So it's a 544.290 for the SF19 now. So let's go ahead and compare it to the brand new model, the one we've all been waiting for, the SF23. So this is the Honda model, and something to note straight away after quite recently using both of the new SF23 Honda and Toyota models is the Honda is a much more of a screamer car. I'd say it almost sounds more high revving, definitely more of a high pitched engine note coming from the Honda version over the Toyota, although kind of at first glance you may not notice it, but if you go from one to the other, there is definitely a different sound coming out of both the Honda and the Toyota cars. Now, if we refer to the daily race B, which is going on currently at Fuji, you'll know that the Toyota is overall the better car around that track when BOP is enabled. I believe that's on mid-speed BOP. So yeah, that does actually affect, and there is a bit of a difference between both the Toyota and the Honda cars under BOP. Now obviously once I've done the Toyota review entirely, edited that and got that one out to you, we'll be able to look closely at how it's kind of affected when it's not under BOP, to see if there is any kind of sneaky changes depending on whether you run the Honda or the Toyota under non-BOP circumstances. However, most of the time these cars do run under BOP when they are part of the daily races. So just note that currently, in my honest opinion and in a lot of people's opinion, the Toyota is the better model SF23 to go for if you're going to run at Fuji. That is definitely where the advantage lies. However, let's focus on the Honda model. Like I said, it sounds different. It does feel rather quite fast. One thing to note, that when I was using this car over the SF19 Honda model, the SF23 just felt much better. Definitely through the corners and on exits, it felt like it had much more acceleration. However, this thing does not rev as high, it weighs 10 kilograms more and does put out less brake horsepower. It certainly felt the complete opposite over the SF19. Now, I don't know if it's down to the new aero style of these cars. I did notice that the rear end of the Honda model does like to break free a lot more than the SF19 Honda model. Once the traction does break, though, it is still very easy to catch. However, it does seem to do it on a kind of more regular basis than the SF19. So the SF19 early on, and as of this recent update, definitely feels more planted overall than the SF23. However, the SF23 overall just feels like the much better car to go with. And in all honesty, I would just go for this one. It looks better. In my opinion, it sounds better. And overall, this model is just absolutely fantastic. Another plus point that has to go in the SF23's favour in terms of the Honda models is the fact that it just feels more alive. Although, like I said, it does seem to want to brake traction much more, and it definitely requires a bit more of a gentler throttle input than the SF19. It definitely gives you overall a better driving experience. It feels like the car's not just on rails and will just go through any corner at absolute maximum velocity. I mean, don't get me wrong, this thing is no slouch through the faster corners, or really any corner. You can hit them at some ridiculous speeds, but it definitely feels like it's moving more under you, and it definitely feels like it's going to require you to be, at least given 100% minimum to really get the most out of this car, and above. If you kind of, I guess, lax off and start relaxing on the throttle, or kind of being a bit lazy on the brakes and such, this car will definitely throw you into a barrier. It's definitely a more alive machine than the SF19. So obviously these cars come in at the same price point, so overall which one would I say you should go for? And in all honesty, I'd just go with the more up-to-date model. Like I said, this is an up-to-date model. This is what the current Super Formula cars are running with. It's a brand new model, obviously because of the partnership between Super Formula and Gran Turismo. It's something that we don't really get to experience in really any other racing game. This is a one-of-a-kind Formula car that, you know, Gran Turismo has, you know, a partnership with, which I think is a very good thing, not just for Super Formula, to kind of get it out there to a wider audience. If you've never watched it actually, you know, happening on track, I fully recommend going and watching the races. For me personally, I go and watch mine at motorsport, I believe .com, or on the app and such. Honestly, Super Formula races are absolutely incredible to watch. So I guess in this sense of taking Super Formula and bringing it to a wider audience outside of Japan, or, you know, kind of the Asia region, it's a fantastic thing for Gran Turismo 7 to do. And it's also good for Gran Turismo 7 for having, well, an up-to-date motorsport within the game. One thing I hope is Polyphony do not kind of slack off with these machines. This is something that they really need to promote. They've obviously got the partnership there, and hopefully we see a lot more of the Super Formulas in terms of daily races. Now, some people will not like them in terms of actually racing. They are very on-edge machines. And one thing I've noticed when running Daily Race B is the fact that, yes, at these kind of speeds with the overtaking system and such, they are prone to, you know, maybe getting rear-ended and such. But if you move yourself up those lobbies, in all honesty, you should be having some very good, clean races. These things are fantastic to race side by side, and that is another plus point for the SF23, although I can't really show it when I'm just hot lapping. In terms of pack action, these things seem to handle themselves much better in a pack than the SF19. One thing I noticed with the SF19, if you're running in slipstreams and such, that dirty air will get you. However, with the SF23, it seems much more reduced and you can follow much more closely, allowing you to really plan out when to use your overtake, when to run in slip, and really when to make those last minute moves. So let's go ahead and have a look where the SF23 Honda comes in. As you can see, it comes in with a 5 minutes 38.323, which is much more quicker than the SF19 as of the most recent update, and puts it in P3 overall. Now, what I'll be interested in tomorrow is basically looking at the Toyota's time overall and comparing it to both the Honda, and obviously reusing that SF19 Toyota as well to kind of see where it kind of stacks against the Honda model. So yeah, overall this is a fantastic performing car. So there we have it. That is the SF23 Honda reviewed. Tomorrow I will be taking a look at the Toyotas, mainly in a shorter video, just looking at some of the key differences, including sound, and obviously just to kind of put up the SF19 against my old time, obviously when I was running a different update, and obviously putting the SF19 up against the SF23 Toyota counterpart. So that's going to be it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and turn your notifications on if you enjoyed this content. I cover everything Gran Turismo 7 and motorsport related content on a daily basis. Big thank you to Poggers and the Controller people for their continued support on sponsoring of the channel. Also, big shout out to my channel members for their support over the months. It's been fantastic having you guys on board and just kind of giving me that extra motivation to kind of improve my content and take it to new levels. My Twitter, my Discord and my donation link will be down in the description down below, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic day, guys. Peace.